We are live. We are live. We are live. And I am checking. So I have to do a little caveat. I have Jordan tonight, and I tried to make sure that I had snacks available to supply him. So hopefully, I won't get asked for snacks through this process, but you just never know. So I have the chocolate milk at the ready, and I've got the, what are those things called? Popcorners or whatever at the ready. So, all right, y'all, let's jump in. This is going to be a good evening. We are concluding. Well, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. So much has happened since the last time I saw you. Many of you are aware that my spiritual mother, Reverend Della, made her transition. And so we're in the process of planning her memorial service. If you are flying in to join us for the memorial service, please know that it is available to everyone. It is on Saturday, December 30th. We're still settling on the time and the location, but we're going for a morning time, and we just got to nail down the location. So it's open to everyone. And I am, I hope that you can join me. It would be wonderful to see you here. This is, kind of one of those seminal moments in time where there's this shift that's happening, certainly whenever a founder makes their transition. And so this is, as you can imagine, and I'm asking you to pray with me through this moment, a big moment in my life in terms of that shift. So next chapter, that's really what is happening. And I want to honor her. I want to celebrate her. I want to just give thanks for everything that she gave me, and certainly comfort the family as well, because this is really about the family and their movement through this period. So let me pull the PowerPoint up. And I know whenever I do this PowerPoint in the camera, it creates a stutter. So hopefully it won't do it too much. Cross our fingers from the current slide. So let's see. So the last chapter in this, the question that we're answering tonight is, are you willing to submit to the process of self-transformation? Are you willing to submit to the process of self-transformation? And only you can answer that question for yourself. And you'll see what I mean as we get into the conversation. And the chapter is the last chapter of the book. Cannot believe we are here. Oh my God. Right? But we're here. It's the last chapter of the book, and it's called Be the Law. Our outline is pretty straightforward. I've got some announcements to share with you. Then we're going to talk about, we have opening prayer, and then we're going to talk about why self-transformation, like what is that about? Why am I pumping that? And then we're going to talk about the 3 steps to self-transformation, and then Q&A. And of course, please ask questions throughout. That helps me because, I can just go and I can riff, but it honestly is better if I know that I'm saying what you want and need to hear. I think it's important that you know why you do what you do. And this is so important right now because there's so much change happening, not just with Reverend Della making her transition, but there's just a lot of shifts that are happening just in general in our world. And so I think you have to know why you do something. And I feel like my life has heated up in such an incredible way with my schedule. And so it really forced me to get clear on, okay, why is this important that Thursday night happened? And I'm really banking on depositing a single idea that's going to change your life. I use the movie Inception as a metaphor. I love, love, love this movie, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, based around the idea of depositing a single idea that registers so deeply within someone that they accept it as their own idea. And the idea that I want to pass on to you is that you are divine, and that you have that within you that is meant to be expressed in the world. And the world is better if you release that which is within you, and that we are all waiting for you. We're waiting for the real you to stand up. And you're going to get some of that tonight in tonight's conversation, that we are waiting for this moment when you say, I want what is in me to show up on the outside more than I want to play it safe. You cannot be a spiritual giant and play it safe. That if you are going to do all that the Spirit has called you to do, if you're going to fulfill the divine call on your life, then that means that you're going to have to take some chances, And you're probably going to have to upset a few people. Someone said that if everyone in your life is cheering you on, that you're probably not playing at the outer limits of your potential. If everyone is saying, good job, go, 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 then you probably have not stretched far enough outside of your personal limits. And that you're probably maybe 50%. I'm throwing that number out. I'm making that up. But you're not at the outer limits of what's possible for you. And so that's the idea that I want to drop in your heart. Let's stop playing it safe. Let's go out here and be the spiritual giants that God has created us to be. The Bible Hangout is free, but it does cost to produce it. And so your support makes a difference. I am asking that you consider making a gift. You can go right and do it at revsherri.com. And a gift of any size is greatly appreciated. And I am thanking you in advance for your support and letting you know that it does make a difference. You probably don't know this, but I am available for one-on-one spiritual mentoring. If you need someone to sit and work with you, and I have really, I continue to upgrade my skill set as a coach, as a spiritual mentor, and where I've been really, really dialing down is this idea of the spiritual entrepreneur, that this marriage of business and spirituality, and not necessarily that you're in a spiritual business, meaning not that you're doing something that's religious themed, but recognizing that where you spend the majority of your time, if you're going to be in alignment with spirit, then what you're doing needs to nourish your spirit. And that doesn't necessarily mean quitting what you're doing, but it might mean reshaping what you're doing so that it begins to feed you the way that it needs to. And so if you want that kind of support, I'm available for you, and you can reach out to me via email or via the website. And I would be happy to get back to you to see if we are a great fit for one another. The way that this series works, there is a blog, there is the Bible Hangout, and there is the Universal Law Library. As y'all know, my life has heated up in the last month, so I have been a little bit remiss in adding things. Andrea, I got the link that you sent me, and it's been that busy that I have not had a minute to just kind of go through it and add it. So just, prayer. But those are the three components of the series. The scripture for the series is, do not think that I have come to abolish the law. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. I've come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And so let's just relax right now. There is a transformation that wants to take place in us, that we've been showing up here faithfully for the last 21 weeks. We've been showing up and being open and receptive, and there is a change that wants to happen in us. And we're asking for the culmination of that change. Let it be clear to us what has shifted in us so that we may know that we are growing spiritually. I bless this conversation. I bless the change that is going to happen in us, that is happening in us. And I give thanks and praise for the presence of God expressing itself as us. Thank you, God, for guiding this conversation. I know that you know exactly what needs to be said. I know you know exactly what needs to be taught. And so I put this class in your hands and I let you guide and direct this process. In the name and nature of Jesus the Christ, it is so, and so it is. All right. We're going to get rid of that. So what does it mean to be the law? Missing a word there. What does it mean to be the law? And this is the idea that Bruce McArthur is sharing in this, that we have come to this place where it is about being the law. And what he presents in this chapter, and this is the framework for what we're going to talk about tonight, is that you must do more than know God's law. You must be the law in expression. So if you can remember when the Secret came out, and there was all of this talk about the law of attraction, the law of attraction, the law of attraction, the law of attraction. And then you had people coming out and saying, well, the law of attraction is a secondary law. Actually, right? And everybody's, sharing thoughts on, well, actually, there's this law, there's that law. And then there's some people saying, well, could you just give me a list of all the laws? That's not what being the law is about. If the only law you know is the law of giving and receiving, then work and become the law of giving and receiving. If the only law you know is the law of attraction, then work it and become the law of attraction, meaning that you incorporate it into your being. It isn't required that you are able to articulate all of these laws, that you go back through this book and you memorize all the laws that we've talked about. What you recognize is that whatever it is that I need to know, I will be taught. And that, I'm going to start right where I am and think the right thoughts and feel the right feelings to produce the right results. And I'm going to commit to that process, because whether you can tell me that there's a law of attraction is entirely different from whether or not you can actually consciously activate the law of attraction. So there's nothing that you have to do to activate the law. The law is already working. But the question is whether or not you are consciously activating it, or whether or not the law is simply acting on you, who's unconsciously thinking and feeling whatever comes up in your mind. Got a couple of comments here. Thank you, Andrea. She said, my heartfelt condolences to you for the loss of your spiritual mother. Thank you, Eve. Eve says, may the peace of God be with you and the church family during this difficult time. Thank you, guys. I've been very fortunate because Reverend Della really taught us to stand on principle. And we watched her go through the experience of her daughter making her transition and really standing in the face of what felt like extreme adversity and just preaching through tears, but getting up and putting one foot in front of the other. And so watching her do that it really is kind of the blueprint for what I am following right now, to be that leader and to know that no matter what comes, I can handle it. And not just me, but everybody around me. But, as the leader, you set the tone for how things will go. So are you willing to submit to the process of self-transformation? That's a very real question that you have to ask, because I'll tell you something. So I'm in a new business. And one of the things that I realize in working this business is that this isn't my first time doing this kind of business, but previously I wanted the success, but I didn't want to do the work for that success. I wanted the success, but I didn't want to do the work for that success. I didn't want to change in order to be the person who could have the kind of success that I wanted. And so I want you to know that there is no lasting success without self-transformation. There is no such thing. Just hang on, Jordan. There's no such thing as lasting success without self-transformation. That if you already had what you wanted, then you'd already be the person who could have it. And so you have to learn or realize that the reason you don't have it is because there are habits, there are behaviors, there are ways of thinking and feeling that basically separate you from the very thing that you say that you want. The great thing that we have and that God has given us is universal law. Universal law is the tool that we have been given to assist us in the transformation of who we are now to who God wants us to be. And so it's this final chapter that he talks about is about learning to, all right, I knew that request was coming, is learning to live the law, to learn the law, to live the law, and to be the law. To learn the law, to live the law, and then to be the law. And so that is the requirement that is upon us. And you've got to decide. You've got to decide if you are willing to do that work. You've got to decide if you're willing to go through that, because the process may not be easy. The process may be challenging. And the process may require more of you than you are willing to give. Like I said, I looked at myself in a previous business. Excuse me, I was handing off chips. That's what all the halting speech was. I looked at myself in the previous business that I was in, and I realized that I wanted the success, but I didn't want to change. And the only way to have more money is to change. There's no, that's not how it works. You don't get more money, because the thing is that who you are with $2, if you don't change, is who you will be with $2 million. And if you are that person with $2 who's always $3 short, then you will be that person with $2 million who's always a little bit short. It's just scaled up. And so you must begin to open your heart, to open your mind to something better. You've got to submit to the process of change. And in order to be a spiritual entrepreneur, this is the process. In order to really, really genuinely go, this is the process by which you are learning to shift. So I want you to know that radical self-transformation is possible. And I want to tell you what I mean by radical self-transformation. So all of life is the process of becoming. You're always becoming something. In truth, you don't have to become anything. So let me make that clear. You're fine just as you are. You are God's beloved just as you are. So this is not about earning more love from God. God's grace is sufficient. God's grace is complete, and God's grace is absolute. So anything that you become is not so that you can get more love from God. You already have all the love that God has for you. What you do have, though, are gifts and talents unknown that lie within you. They are dormant. Their only pathway to physical expression rests in your self-transformation. There are things within you. So I'm going to use Reverend Della as an example. Growing up, coming out of the slums of Detroit, she used to always say the slums, this was before the ghetto, right? That coming up from the slums of Detroit, Michigan, and going through this self-transformation process, working with God, that then put her at the top of Bel Air Road. You don't go from the slums of Detroit to 1910 Bel Air Road without some type of transformation happening in you. The thing is that no one can transform you but you. God can't even transform you, because you have to be willing for God to transform you. And so if you do not surrender and then commit to the process of self-transformation, you cannot access what lies within you. So again, using Reverend Della's life as an example, that out of this young woman coming out of the slums of Detroit was someone who would re-record Puccini, and it would chart on the Billboard charts. Out of this young woman coming out of Detroit was someone who would become a celebrity, whose show, Touched by an Angel, still blesses people today. There are so many people. I'm getting these messages now on Facebook where people are sending messages and talking about how much Touched by an Angel just changed their lives. And, people who said, I was near suicide, but I watched that show and I decided not to take my life. Or someone else who said, I was about to divorce my husband, but I watched that show and I decided to stick it out. Out of that process, but in order to be that blessing, you've got to go through that radical self-transformation. It is not always easy, but the giants of history prove that it is possible. See, people can tell you what to think and how to feel, but they cannot think or feel for you. And that is why all transformation, as far as your life is concerned, is self-transformation. I can't live your experiences that you have to go through to learn the lessons that will shape you. You can't read the books that I must read to awaken the parts of me that lie dormant right now. So, but at the very least, I want you to buy into the idea that there is a level of transformation, what I call radical self-transformation, that is possible, that will make you unrecognizable to yourself. But you've got to be willing to do it. You've got to be willing to do it. And so the first step in that is you need to learn the law. Now, Bruce lays out a 3-step process. But here's the thing. You would be surprised at how many people fight the idea of universal law. They will fight you. They knock you down, tear your hair out, pull your weave out, the whole nine. They will fight you on universal law. And they will tell you, no, Jesus came, and so we're not under the law. And it's like, well, let me see, darling. Could you go walk off that building and see if you fly? The law is perpetual. It goes nowhere. Now, what they refer to as the Mosaic law is man's law. And you're right, we're not under man's law. But universal law is perpetual, unending. Jesus himself can't circumvent it. And he even tells you, I came not to abolish the law of the prophets. I didn't come to change what you've been taught. I'm coming to tell you how to fulfill it. I came to tell you how to put this thing into action. You've been walking around here not really obeying what's been given, and I came to show you how to do that. There's a process. There's a process. So learn the law. Stop fighting the idea that there is a law. And sometimes when I want to fight the idea and I want to believe that expression is due to circumstance and not due to law, right? That things are the way that they are because some such and such is in the White House, right? That's a popular one that people want to believe. Myra, I'm going to mute you. That's a popular one that people want to believe. Or things are the way that they are because of 400 years of slavery, right? And that's why we're in the situation that we're in. That folks had a head start. Okay, this is the stuff that they say. And this may be the stuff that you say. I don't know. I don't know what things come through your mind in relation to it. But universal law, it says that this universe is a just universe. And that if I operate in accord with this universe, then I can create whatever I want. I don't have to be jealous of anybody else's manifestation, because all manifestations come out of a working of the law. And if I create it in my own mind, then I can have the very thing I think is exclusive to somebody else. And so that learning the law is really surrendering to this idea that the universe is just, and the universe will bring to me that which I sow a seed for, and man cannot take it from me. Man cannot take it from, no human can take it from me. Just as there were people in the during the time of slavery who were people of color that were not slaves, just today there are people who are not in the quote unquote majority who live some very good lives. I mentioned one of them in the blog post because she's a hero and she's on my bucket list to meet, is Folarunshu Alakija, and I may be pronouncing her name, maybe totally butchering her name, but she started off as like a secretary, mother of 6, grandmother, billionaire, actually networked higher than Oprah. So it worked the law. The law works. The law doesn't care if you're black, white, purple, gay, straight. If you got 2 eyes or 5, the law works. So work the law. See, we're so impressed by what humans are doing, and we really need to get impressed by what God can do. Reverend Della used to say, you're not properly impressed. And what part of what she meant by that is that we're so impressed by the things of the world, by the things that have happened in the world. And so we get really dialed into physical expression. And it's like, if you would just take half of that impression that you have given to the world and give it to God and give it to what God can do through you if you open up. So I always look back to nature as a guide, and I remind myself that as every flower requires a seed to be born into expression, every experience I desire requires a seed to be born into expression. And so when I feel frustrated with my results in a particular area, I remind myself of the seed harvest cycle that has to take place in my own consciousness in order for my desired expression to come forth. I'm working with a law. We're all working with the same thing. This is why we're all created equal. This is why we're all created equal, because we each have the ability to take a seed and sow it and produce a result. And you don't need to be able to articulate law of attraction versus the law of giving and receiving versus the law of increase versus the law of love. You don't need to be able to articulate any of that to work it. All you have to have is the right seed. And if you have the right seed and plant the right seed, you must get the fruit. Do you need to understand how apples are created from apple seeds? No. But if you have an apple seed and you put it in the ground and you put the proper fertilizer around it and the right soil around it, you're going to get an apple tree. Because that's just what's going to happen. And it doesn't care that you know all of the conditions of what's required to produce an apple tree. So, you know, what you realize is that when you endeavor to learn the law, your prayer changes. So you only ask for things when you think that things are what you actually want. What you want is the seed. Malcolm X said, if you want to understand the flower, study the seed. So your prayer changes when you begin to work with the law, that you're no longer asking for things. If you say, if what you need is money, then it's, God, I'm asking for the seed. I'm asking for the seed to produce the income that I want. If what you want is security, right? I want to retire and I don't want to have to worry about money. Then I'm asking for the seed. I'm asking for the seed. Because see, what happens is that if you have the seed and you sow the right seed, stuff comes and goes in the physical world. We know that. We've all lived through the 2008 economic downturn. So we know that stuff can go. But if you have the right seed that you have planted, then whatever leaves will be immediately replaced. And I know you've had things in your life where the stuff left in one form, let's say a portion of your income, and appeared right back in your life through some other channel because the seed had been planted. There was a consciousness. And so this is about being abundant versus having abundance, but you've got to sow the seed for being abundant. So your prayer changes when you decide to learn the law. Your prayer shifts entirely when you recognize that this is a universe of laws, and I'm going to live in accord with God's law. And here's the thing. The seed is not coming. The seed is already present. I had this experience last week. So speaking as an entrepreneur. So this company that I'm working with, I had the opportunity to get on the radar of the CEO. I had produced at a level where the CEO was like, well, maybe this is somebody that I should pay attention to. And so the CEO basically was going to do my business launch for me, basically come on and be a support to me and coach me and all of that. And then things happened in such a way that I couldn't deliver on my part of what I needed to do. Just certain things. It was right around the time that we learned that Reverend Della had made her transition. And so it was like, this is what is primary in my life right now. I've got to pay attention to this. And so I cannot deliver on these things that I said I was going to do. And so I was feeling some kind of way about it. I was feeling stressed and like, I don't want to miss this opportunity. And it was like, what do you study spiritually? Opportunity is everywhere evenly present. So the coaching that you need from whatever millionaire is going to come into your experience, you've got. He's not the source. He's just a potential channel. And so it's the same thing with the seed, but that when you start praying for the seed, what you're really praying for is the eyes to see the seed that's already present. God, you've already given me the seed to produce everything that I want, whether that's income, health, happiness, whatever it is that I want. The seed is already present. And so my prayer now is, give me the eyes to see what's already in my universe. I live in a universe. This universe is chock full of opportunity. Right in my hand right now is all that I need. It's everything that I need, I have right now. So give me the means to push, to produce not the means. Give me the eyes to see what is already present. Give me the eyes to see. It's already here. I don't have to do anything different. I don't have to shift anything. All I have to do is trust that it's already here and then begin to look. I use the example of Waldo. You guys remember Where's Waldo? I hope y'all remember Where's Waldo. Somebody tell me y'all remember Where's Waldo. Anybody remember Where's Waldo? I'm looking in the chat. Nobody remembers Where's Waldo. Okay. Nobody remembers Where's Waldo. Anybody got Waldo? Ray, you gonna help me out? You remember Where's Waldo? No. Okay, thank you, Alita. So I got one person that knows Waldo. Waldo was this, it was like a landscape of people. And Waldo had on the red and white striped shirt and the blue pants. And there were many lookalikes, but they weren't all Waldo. Okay, give me the chocolate milk. Give me the whole thing. So Waldo, bring it here. Come on, here we go. So Waldo was in the picture. And in this picture, you had to find him. And it Alita said, I've never understood Waldo, but I remember. So with Waldo, there was this landscape, and the idea was that you had to find him. But there were all these people that might have had like a type of red shirt that resembled Waldo, or they might have had some blue pants or a hat that resembled Waldo, but it wouldn't be Waldo. And so it would take you some time to look at the picture and for your eyes to pick out Waldo. But if you stayed with it and you studied the picture closely, you would begin to find Waldo. It's the same thing with finding the seeds that God has already given you in your life. That if you look at your life closely, you will begin to see that there are seeds that are already present, that you can take and sow and produce whatever it is that you want. The seed for your health is in your life right now. The seed for your wealth is in your life right now. The seed for your happiness is already in your life right now. So when you surrender to the process of transformation that the law asks of you, then you begin to look for and expect the seeds that are already present. And so you know that God wants me to have it, and everything that God has is already here right now. And so I'm asking for the eyes to see my world differently. I hope this is landing. Let me know if this is sticking with you guys and this is making sense. Yes, Jarrett. Yes, my friend. You know, we lifted you tonight. I'm seeing the truth with you. Give me the eyes to see my radiant health and prosperity. I see it with you. I see it with you. I see it with you. I see you whole. I see you complete. I see you at your son's graduation. I see you at his wedding. I see you. I see you. I see what looks hopeless turning into hope. I see that for you. Thank you, Constance. Constance, I remember Waldo. Thank you, Yvonne. She remembers Waldo too. Jared said the controversy when people found the nude beachgoers before Waldo. Yes. I never found the nude beachgoers, so I missed that part. I missed that part entirely. All right, cool. So listen, step 2. Let me get the PowerPoint back. Okay. Step 2, live the law. So knowing the law, or knowing that there is a law, is one step, but now I got to live it. I got to recognize that every thought I think, every feeling I entertain sows a seed in the soil of my consciousness. And as God is forever faithful to the physical seeds of the earth, he is also faithful to the seeds of my mind and your mind and every other mind that thinks and feels. Do not simply be able to recite the law of giving and receiving, actually give and receive. Actually give and receive. See, I change a little when I know that there are universal laws, but I change a lot when I actually live in accord with those laws. So this is where self-transformation really, really takes off, right? So the seed of money is helping people. That's the seed of money. I draw money into my life just to the degree that I help people. So if I want more money, then I must help more people. Now, most of us have a ceiling on how far we're willing to go to help others because, you know, we've been cautioned by well-meaning parents and friends over the years on overextending ourselves. But getting personally involved is only one type of seed that you can sow. Another type of money seed that you can sow is to create something, a book, a play, a widget that helps people without you being present. So I think about the episodes of Touched by an Angel starring Reverend Della. They continue to bless people. She's no longer on this earth plane. But the seed that she planted continues to bless, and her estate continues to earn. Hear that? Her estate continues to earn. So if you want to understand the flower, study the seed. If you want to understand the flower, study the seed. So we've got to live the law. And that is the work, y'all. That is the work, because physical evidence looks so real. It tries to convince us that it is supreme, and it is not. It is fruit. It is fruit. It is fruit. And if I go in and I put a new seed in the soil, just as God is faithful with the apple seeds that I plant, or the watermelon seeds that I plant, or the whatever I plant, just as God is faithful with those seeds, God is faithful with the seeds that I plant in my mind. But I've got to plant them in my mind. I've got to plant them in my mind. So you need your morning routine. You don't need to go any day without some type of prayer, some type of meditation, some type of affirmation, some type of mirror work. You need to get in the mirror and talk to yourself. I would watch Reverend Della do this. Not with a mirror. That's Louise Hay would do that with a mirror. But I would watch Reverend Della do this with her body. So when diabetes was attacked, she would never say, I have diabetes. She would never say that. She'd always say, this is attacking my body. But she always kept it at a distance from her. Like this is what's happening to me, but this is not who I am. And so I would see her, and 80 years old, she would sit down in a seat and her legs would try to give out, and she wouldn't let anybody help her out of a seat. And she would say out loud to herself, all right, Dell, you got in this seat. You can get up. You can get up. Get up, Dell. Get up, get up, get up. Talk to her body. And then she would praise her body, whatever little progress she saw. So when we moved into First Lutheran, she fell at 78, which is like, you don't want to fall at all, but you certainly don't want to fall over the age of 50, right? She fell. She was 78, broke 2 bones in her body, and I think like a shoulder bone or a clavicle or something like that. And so every little bit of progress, because of course they told her she'd never walk again. And she was like, I got stuff to do. I got shows to give. I got later for you with this prognosis that you're giving me. And she would begin to talk to her body. And so when she was going through rehabilitation and relearning to walk right after the injury, she would talk to every step. She'd praise. She said, look at that foot. Look at that foot. Go ahead, Dale. Go ahead. Look at that foot. And then she put it on. Oh, you getting it now. And she would talk herself back to walking. Your body obeys you. Trust the words that you speak to your body. And so you can begin to tell yourself, I expect you to be healthy. I expect you to be healthy. When you have a good day, this is a great day. This is an excellent day. Boy, you're getting better and better. Listen, y'all, I've been going to the gym, and every time I work out, I'm like, wow, you're getting stronger and stronger. And I say that, and I say it out loud. I don't care who hears me, because let them talk to their bodies. I'm talking to my body. Reverend Della taught me that. You're getting stronger and stronger, girl. This is impressive. Of course you're getting stronger. I mean, you're showing up every day. So what else would I expect? I'm having this conversation, talking to the body, telling the body the truth, not letting the body just do whatever the body wants to do. But I'm saying it out loud. Now, let me tell y'all, I got a game changer for you. I won't be able to play it for you because I don't know how to stream music through this thing. The soundtrack of movies. Oh, listen, game over. So you could put on the soundtrack from Star Wars, right? I can't get it. Dun, 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 whatever. But Superman, The Dark Knight. I mean, this music is like all of those crescendos, you know, when the hero pulls out the sword and like, right? Put that music on and do your affirmations. Game over. I've been doing that every morning. I've been doing my visualization. The visualization to the soundtrack of Star Wars. The feeling that it evokes in you is just fire. It's just fire. And okay, I gotta go. I'm digressing here. All right, so y'all just bear with me. So here's the thing. For these demonstrations, you got to build your belief. You got to build your belief, and you've got to do the things that build belief. So if you're working on a healing, you got to build your belief that the healing can be. So you don't just sit and visualize in the silence. You could, but listen, I got a monkey mind. If you got a monkey mind like my monkey mind, that pet will not let you sit or rest for a minute. And it's active at all hours of the day, right? But that music soundtrack, and you put Star Wars on or pick your movie. You might be a Titanic person, but I love like the boy movies. You put that soundtrack on, and then you sit and start seeing yourself as you want to be. Woo! Through the roof. I've been doing that every morning for the last I've been doing visualization for a while, for several months now, but I kicked it up to a new level with that soundtrack. Man, that's it. Because you're evoking the feeling, and visualization is how you build your belief for what's possible for you. So you've got to build your belief that you can have the health that God promised you. You've got to build your belief that you can have the wealth that God promised you. You've got to build your belief that you can have the happiness that God promised you. And the way that you build your belief is you got to go and sit in those moments before they happen. So even in the midst of not having the money that you want, even in the midst of not having the health that you want or the happiness that you want, you've got to create a window in your world today where you go and you sit in the feeling of having what it is that you want. And so you want to see and hear things that indicate to you that they are that what you are asking to come to pass have actually come to pass. Am I being clear? Somebody talk to me. Am I being clear? Is this making sense? Andres, I didn't know Waldo was still around. I didn't know Waldo wasn't still around either until I bring it up in class, and they're like Generation X people who don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, be your own cheerleader. Constance says, I listen to Abraham every morning. I love my body, which is part of my morning ritual. I'll share it with you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good. Okay, glad this is landing. So this is what you're working on, that you're working on your belief, and you've got to build your belief. But this is part of living the law. This is how you live the law, that it isn't that you police your thoughts all day. You actually can't do that. That's impossible because nobody's on it all day long, not even the best of us. And the thing is that you're always going from one plateau to the next, higher and higher. So you're always entering new territory that awakens fear, that awakens caution, and all the other things that the body normally reaches for in terms of comfort. So what you're learning is a practice that will serve you as you continue to ascend higher and higher in consciousness. Living the law is about building the belief in the goodness of God and building belief that goodness can press out into expression the way that you want it to. And so visualization is one of the ways that you live the law, that you basically plant a seed. You go and sit in your own mind and mentally rehearse the day when the thing that you want shall be. And as sure as the seed, apple seed that you put in the ground produces the apple tree, the seed of you having what you want shall produce. Just do it. That's all I got to say. Just do it. I'm taking too long on that. Let me keep going. Be the law. So here's the thing. As you live the law, you cannot help but become the law. As you discipline yourself to think and feel in accord with God's law, you change, and you change at your core. Being the law accords you a freedom that escapes most people. We have long regarded freedom as being free of something, but freedom in its broadest sense is a much greater state in which all things are possible to you. The key to true freedom is living the universal laws in the highest way. So we all like high achievers, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Folarun Shualakeisha, but we often do not learn about these people until they have mastered being the law. And so unless we know them personally and have had the privilege of seeing them push through the process of learning the law and living the law, we tend to dismiss them as exceptional. Occasionally, we get a glimpse into the life of a high achiever, but more often than not, we learn about their backstory only after they've ascended to the heights that made us admire them in the first place. Being the law means much more than simply complying with universal law. It involves making yourself one with the purpose of the universe, which is absolute good. Take time to examine your motives and your purposes and your ideals. Release the fears, doubts, and animosities of life so that you dissolve your selfish self. So being the law is about getting rid of all of the places where you want for you to the exclusion of everyone else. And all of us have some, we're all on a spectrum of selfish to selflessness, right? We're all somewhere on that spectrum. So as you are allowing the law to change you, as you are practicing thinking better thoughts and feeling better feelings, that you are giving, you are constantly examining your ideals and raising your ideals. So we did that workshop earlier this month where we looked at what are our ideals? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What is my highest self? Right. And I'm always projecting into that person. So I've got to have an ideal for health. I've got to have an ideal for every area of my life, because without that, I have nothing to evolve into, and I have nothing that I'm reaching for. And I just show up for life at whatever level of consciousness I'm expressing, but I've got to have something pulling me higher. And so I must set an ideal that I'm reaching for. Well, I'm constantly refining that ideal, because the idea is that I hit that ideal and then I set a new ideal. So I'm always refining and getting better and getting better and getting better as a leader, as a teacher, as a thinker, as a writer, as an entrepreneur, as a minister, as a shepherd, as a mom, as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, that I have these ideals, that there's the way that I show up in these various areas of my life. I must set that ideal and then have it out there as the carrot that draws me forward to express greater and greater. As I reach for that, as I begin to think in accord with the ideal, right? So without the ideal, then I'm left to just think however I decide to think. But if I've got an ideal and I say, you know what, my ideal is to show up on Sundays with the same level of groundedness and authority, and just, the words are failing me right now, but the way that I saw Reverend Della show up for church on Sunday. So now I've got, so then I sit and I say, how do I have to think to deliver at that level, right? To show up at that level. And so then my thoughts get better because I'm reaching for something beyond where I am. And I have a way to think about, did I fall short of my ideal? And then I can self-correct when I have. But what's happening in this process as I'm thinking better, that those new thoughts are getting incorporated in me and I'm changing. And the thing is that once you change one thought and change it for good, it shifts everything else in your life like a domino effect. And so there is this process of becoming that as I practice thinking and feeling at a higher level, that it begins to move things in my life. It begins to shift things in my experience, and I begin to become the higher version of myself. And so then I do what Jesus talks about, which is I fulfill the law. The law is health. The law is wealth. The law is love. The law is peace. As I think in accord with health, wealth, peace, joy, all those things of the spirit, they begin to be fulfilled in me and press out in me into expression. And so we come to then the scripture that we use for this entire series. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. As you become the law, you fulfill the law. As you become the law, this is what we talk about Jesus as the great I am and as the law, that he fulfilled the law. Now, he didn't fulfill it for you and for me because we still have to fulfill the law, but he showed us how to do it. Here's how you act in accord with the law of the universe so that you might follow me, right? That was the commission. Follow me in the process of fulfilling the law. That if you do what I do, if you cooperate with God the way that I'm showing you to cooperate with God, then you too can enjoy the same fruit. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Recognize that there are universal laws that govern your and my existence, and then comply with those laws and allow yourself to be changed for the better. And so the commission on each of us is to be the law. And the question that you must ask for yourself, are you willing to change so thoroughly that who you become will be unrecognizable to the person you are today? Are you willing to radically shift the way you think and the way you feel in order to have what others think belong only to the elite few? If this webinar helped you, if this Bible study helped you, please subscribe and share with a friend. Any questions? Any questions? Awesome. All right. Next week, well, we're doing prosperity. I got to figure out what the prosperity is. I think we said Edwene Gaines. Yeah. She has a book called The 4 Laws of Prosperity. We'll do 2 and 2 because we have 2 weeks. So the book is, I don't have the book handy. Edwene Gaines, The 4 Laws of Prosperity. So you should have that for next week. Edwene Gaines, The 4 Laws of Prosperity. We'll do two laws next week and 2 laws the following week. And then we'll take a break for Christmas. We'll have 2 weeks off for Christmas. So we have 2. Hold on, let me pull up, look at my dates. I can tell you exactly. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we'll meet the 7th, the 14th. We'll be off the 21st and the 28th, and then back on the 4th. We'll have 2 weeks off, the 28th, 21st and 28th. Yeah, that'll be good because I'll have time to get Reverend Della's service together. All right, 21st and 28th, no class, but we're meeting on the 7th and the 14th. We'll do the first 2 laws on the 7th and the second 2 laws on the 14th. All right, have a great, great night. Love and appreciate you guys. Yes, she is hilarious, Jared. Oh, send that, Constance, or post that in this thing. She said, I just found her CD, 6 CD set. Good. Phyllis got her book already. All right. So yeah, Edwene Gaines, The 4 Laws of Prosperity. It should be the only book that she has, if I'm not mistaken. So Anyway, thank you guys for tonight. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you. If you are flying into Los Angeles or you want to be a part of the memorial service, please let me know so that I'm aware. We haven't done any kind of hotel blocks or anything like that, but I certainly can, if I know enough people are coming, I certainly can reach out to a hotel and work out a discount deal if we know enough people are coming into town. All right. And December 30th is the date. We're still sorting out time and location, but we're looking at a morning time, and we just have to nail down the location. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.